Hi everyone, it is time for a new reading vlog, and today I'm actually going to be reading fantasy books, and specifically I'm going to be reading 4 YA fantasy retellings. I picked 4 books that I'm going to share with you, and you are going to see multiple hair changes in this video. It has been in the works for a long time. I just kind of forgot that I was making this vlog, and it just took me a long time for no good reason really, but I hope you enjoy it anyways. And I think that's enough for an intro. If you want to see what I think of these 4 different YA fantasy retellings, keep on watching and I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, so I've started the first book for this vlog, and that is Girls Made of Snow and Glass by Bashardus. This is a Snow White retelling, and I am shook right now. So I am already very far. I'm on page 192, so I am basically a little bit over halfway through. And I was going to do an update earlier, but then I kept reading and now we're here. So how do I even describe the plot? This book follows Lynette and Mina. Mina basically finds out at the beginning of the book that she has a heart made of glass. She has the desperate desire to be loved, and she feels like because she's basically heartless, no one is ever going to love her, and so she wants to marry the king so that she can become a queen and be loved by the people. And so, it's Snow White, so she's kind of like the stepmother. And Lynette has her own thing that she finds out about herself. I don't think I'm going to say it because I don't know if it's a spoiler. Here in the synopsis in the book, it's not said, so I'm just not going to say it. It is so different from what I expected. And I didn't really expect anything specific because I didn't really know much about the book. But, I still there's been some shit that happened that I was like, what? I love the 2 main characters. Mina is so interesting and so cool, and she, she desperately wants to be loved, and she is not exactly, she's definitely a morally gray character. And Lynette, I don't know how I would describe her, but I really like her as well. Both of them are definitely going on this emotional journey. I hope some of that made sense. There is one thing that I feel is especially at the beginning was a little bit confusing, that it is actually told in the past and in the present. I found that a little bit confusing at the beginning, but I've adjusted at this point, so it's fine. It is time for an update. I finished Girls Made of Snow and Glass by Bashardus, and what the fuck happened? I can't even process it still. It's been an hour since I finished it. I'm still shook. This book was so surprising in so many ways, and it makes it really difficult to know what to tell you about it. So I don't think I'm gonna go into too many details, because I obviously don't want to spoil anything and I don't want to ruin any of it for you. So I'm gonna keep it kind of vague and just tell you that this was really cool. I think it was a really great retelling. Like I kind of said, I loved the emotional journeys the main characters went on. There were seriously so many unexpected things. And if you're someone who loves plot twists or just being shook and surprised in fantasy, and you feel YA typically doesn't deliver on that, because I feel YA fantasy maybe doesn't have typically as many plot twists as maybe adult fantasy or whatever, then I would really highly recommend this. It is kind of sapphic, but not a lot at all, so I'll just say that. That is this book. I think I should just shut up about it so that I don't spoil anything that I shouldn't, but I just really enjoyed this, and it was just really cool, and I really recommend you check it out. So I look kind of rough, but I am here to tell you that I have started the next book, which is Lore by Alexandra Bracken, and I'm happy to say I'm really, really loving this. So this one is basically all about Greek mythology and just a reimagining, and obviously this is a retelling video, and I didn't didn't know if I wanted to read this book. I kind of heard like neutral things about it, but then I saw some good reviews and I found it at a bookstore and I was just intrigued, and I love Greek mythology. I am halfway through now. I'm listening to it on audio because I have just decided that and found out that listening to fantasy books on audio really, really helps me get through them and enjoy them more. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna do it when I can. It's about Lore, whose family was murdered, and she's basically from this line of like descendants of ancient bloodlines. In this world, Zeus basically cursed all the gods every 7 years. For 1 week, they basically become mortal, and so during that time, these people from these ancient bloodlines basically want to murder the god so that they can take their powers. Most of the original gods are now dead, and Athena comes to Lore to basically make a deal with her to like help her with everything. Lore tried to escape this whole world and like run away from it since everything that happened with her parents, and so she's basically like brought back into this whole brutal world. And she, like she gets reunited with one guy that she used to know who is now basically like one of the gods. And they're kind of, I think, gonna be like friends to enemies to lovers, which I'm so excited for and I'm so invested. So I'm really hoping that the romance isn't gonna disappoint, because so far I'm so here for it. And so absolutely love that. And it's interesting. I'm like kind of shook because I expected this to be like a nice, fun read. Like that's just with normal fantasy books. If it doesn't have an incredible romance or friendships or something, then it's just usually kind of like a neutral read. But while I do think that this is going to hopefully have a great romance, I'm actually just like having so much fun, and I have been really excited to pick this book up and just read it. It's really reminding me of Rick Riordan in the sense that like there's a lot of danger. Like in Rick's books, there's always a lot of danger, like monsters, people going after our main characters. But at the same time, there's this like weird feeling that everything's gonna be fine. And maybe I'm just like fooling myself and everything is not gonna be fine. But I don't know, like I don't mind all the danger at all, which is very unlike me. But I just absolutely love Lore. I love the guy who is hopefully the love interest. And Athena is really cool, and I just love Greek mythology, and so like all the vibes I'm so here for. And so if you're someone like me who's a fan of Greek mythology or Rick Riordan and you just love those vibes, I really recommend this. I think I still have a half of the book to read. It is like 600 pages, which I thought it was shorter, and then I looked at it, but again, I'm listening to audio, which makes it better. So yeah, I'm super excited to keep reading this. I am probably going to update you when I finish it, but I can't wait to see where it goes, and I really hope I'm going to love the second half as much as the first. So I just finished this book, and this was a wild ride, and I don't even know where to begin. But I really enjoyed this book. For the past like a year or so, I don't even know. I have been kind of like, if you watch my channel, that I've been just generally struggling with fantasy. And one of the reasons is that like, if it's just fantasy and not fantasy romance, I really struggle to be invested in it unless it has like a strong found family aspect or something. And so a lot of like normal fantasy books don't really just like grab my attention that much and don't fully excite me because I just don't expect to completely fall in love with them. But this was wonderful, and it really like made me want to read more, which is the best thing ever. And so basically, I don't think I'm going to say more about the plot. I hopefully described it well enough before. But I saw someone, I think, describe this as Hunger Games meets Percy Jackson, and I think that is so accurate. And so if that sounds good to you, I think you're gonna love this. I don't really care for Hunger Games, but I absolutely love Percy Jackson. I love Greek mythology. I absolutely loved Lore, and I absolutely loved the romance in this book. And There were also some really great side characters, but I feel like I didn't really get to know them as well as I would like. But the romance was amazing. I don't think I'm gonna say more about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but oh my gosh, it was everything. And I just was so invested in the main characters. If you know me, you know what I'm gonna say. I wish there was more content for sure. Like, I totally understand, it's a fantasy book with a romantic subplot, but I just, every single time, I just, like, I want a little bit more. Because, like, in here, I was so invested. I loved them so much. And if there was some more content, I would have, like, lost my shit entirely. So, yeah, but I still enjoyed this so much. I don't know if I specified that this is a standalone, and I loved the ending, and, like, it was just such a great book. So, I think that's all that I'm gonna say about it. I feel like there should be, like, I should say more. But I don't know, like, I just really recommend it. I am going to catch up with you when I start the next book. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'm super excited. So, I mean, like, I know what the books are, just not which one I'm picking next. So, we'll see, and I'll talk to you then. So, I have started the next book, and that is The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White. This is an Arthurian retelling. So I got to page 124. So I'm like getting a little close to the halfway point, but not quite there. But I just wanted to do the update already, even though I normally do update on the halfway point. And I'm a little bit confused about this book, but I can tell you that the main character, she is this like magical person, kind of like a witch. She is also the daughter of Merlin, and she basically comes to Camelot to be in the to replace or like to be just put into place of Guinevere, who passed away. And so she's actually not the real Guinevere. She has a different name, but it's a secret, and she poses as her. Yeah, so that's where it all begins. She comes to the like palace or whatever it's called, and things go on from there. I don't really know like what is happening with the plot. I'm a little bit confused, and I'm not loving it, unfortunately. I'm not hating it, but I haven't really been excited to pick up the book and keep reading, which is sad, but I'm not hating it. Like I'm gonna read it, but I do feel like I'm reading it really slowly, considering that this weekend I wanted to put up this video, so I I don't think that's gonna be possible. We'll see. It's Monday right now, I think. Yes. So, yeah, my worry is that I just don't fully love YA fantasy anymore. And I do need to explain it. Cause, a part of me is like I've been wanting to get back to fantasy because I can love it. Like, it is a genre that I love when it's done in a way that works for me. But the thing that doesn't work for me is when there's not a romance or found family or like any kind of like strong relationship. If there's nothing like that, then I am probably not gonna love it because I'm not a plot person. I don't really care that much about any of the aspects, but characters and relationships are the main thing, and so I feel like if that's not there, then I just don't really enjoy it, or like I can enjoy it in like a mediocre way, that it can be like a chill read, and I'm not mad at reading it, but it's also nothing like super enjoyable, if that makes any sense. I'm not really that invested in Guinevere, like a little bit, but not a lot. And so there's nothing much right now to hold on to. But I did see a review that said that was like that the first half is really slow, but then it gets more exciting, and so I'm hoping that's how I will feel as well. Not entirely sure, but I really hope so. So we shall see. But yeah, so I do love this cover so much. So I'll probably catch up with you when I finish the book, unless, I have some like exciting thoughts. So it is time for an update. I have officially finished The Guinevere Deception. And yeah. I unfortunately did not love this. I mean, I don't think it's a bad book, but I feel like this one just really was not for me. Again, I don't think this is a bad book, and I don't really know how to like talk about this book. But like I told you, like the main things that just did not work for me is I feel like this was just super plot driven, but I also felt like I didn't really know what was like even happening with the plot for a long time. And it's just like it focuses on a lot of things that I don't care about personally. And I unfortunately didn't get invested enough in Guinevere herself that like she could carry the book for me, if that makes sense. Like it's not that she's a bad character, but I just for some reason did not feel connected to her. So therefore I felt like I just had nothing to connect to in the story, but I do think that like the magic is cool and that it's intriguing and interesting, and I think that people are going to enjoy it if it's, you know, like the right fit for them, but I just did not love it. I also just I don't even know if I actually fully like the like Arthurian legend retellings. Like I thought I really loved the story, but I just like it again, I was just not vibing with it. I do think that you can enjoy this if you really like the Arthurian legend retelling, if you don't really need any strong relationships and you like books that are focused on the main character and, you know, like their journey and stuff like that. Then I think you could like this. I did really like the writing style, and I did like the magic. It was really cool as well. So that is that on this book. I do absolutely love this cover, and I am happy that I finally read this because it's been literally like on my TBR for 2 years now, so we finally did that. So it has been a really fucking long time since my last update, but I am finally here to talk to you about the last book of this video. So I don't even know why it's taken me so long to do this video. Like one of the reasons is just because I've been like struggling with fantasy quite a lot. And the other like bigger reason even is just that I kind of forgot about this video for a long time. And I just feel like, you know, like I could have just not continued on with it, but I don't like trashing videos because I'm like, there is, you know, like just I don't want to do that because I read some books that I wanted to share my thoughts on, and so I hope you don't mind all the millions of hair changes that are happening in this one video. The last book that I'm reading is This Poison Heart by Kaelyn Bayern. I am already over halfway through. I got to 204, so it is quite a long book. It's almost 400 pages, and I am enjoying it, but I'm also slightly struggling with it. So, the first book by Kaelyn Bayern, which was Cinderella is Dead, was one that I actually really loved, and there are definitely some mixed reviews on that book, but I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really impactful fantasy book with amazing main characters, a really sweet romance, and just like some really powerful messages, and I read that one super quickly and I just really enjoyed it, and I actually vlogged about that one as well a really long time ago. I just wanted to get my hands on this immediately, and I also adore this cover as much as Cinderella is Dead, and the cover, oh my god, the cover of the sequel, I never thought anything could be prettier than this, but that cover literally is breathtaking. It's incredible. Like, I am buying it no matter what. And I can't wait. Like, it is so stunning. It's literally like, how is that even possible? Anyways, so this book I am enjoying, but I have some slight issues with the pacing especially, but I'm gonna get into that once I describe the book. It follows Bree, who is basically living with her two moms, and they have this garden store together, and it's not going really well. Like, they don't really have a lot of sales and all of that, but, you know, like, they're hanging in there. But then our main character finds out that she actually inherited this giant mansion and property after, like, her biological mother, And she also, like, even at, like, already at the beginning of the book, she knows that she has powers related to flowers. So she doesn't fully understand, like, the how, like, strong the powers are, how they work and all of that, but she knows about it. And what I think is really cool is that her parents also know about this. So I think that is something that doesn't really happen in books in general, that, you know, like, the parents know what's up with the kid. At least not immediately, but they do know in here, and I think that's cool, and I really like them in general. But I just, yeah. However, I do think that the issue is that basically the first half of this book, almost nothing happens besides of what I just told you. Like, Bree kind of starts discovering different things around this property, but that's pretty much all that happens. And I feel like the first half is extremely slow, and I was really struggling to get through it. However, I did pick up the book on audio whenever I just really struggle with the pacing of a book and it's too slow for me, but I want to keep reading it. It's always helpful to me to listen to it on audio and finish it that way if I can. And so I can do it with this book, which I'm really happy about because I feel like it's really helping me. I do love our main character, and the magic is cool, but the aspect of her, like, figuring out, like, different little things around the property and, like, all of that, like, it almost feels like a mystery element, which you might know is not my favorite. But I do think that the second half is gonna be way more fun. There's also, I think, hopefully gonna be, like, a bit of a romance element introduced. Yeah, that's how this is going. And the last thing I'm gonna mention that I haven't said is that it actually has elements of Greek mythology in this. It's not, I don't think it's a retelling of anything specific, but it's more like it just has some elements and, like, some figures and, like, that kind of thing, which I always love. I think that's all that I'm gonna say for now, and I'm gonna get back to reading it. So it is time for my final update and wrap up of this vlog. So I finished This Poison Heart by Kaelyn Bayern, and I honestly, it took me way longer than I expected to read this book, and it definitely would have been, like, a quicker read for me if I listened to the whole thing on audio. Because I actually don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I think I did. I did switch to the audiobook a little bit past the halfway point. I definitely didn't hate it. I mean, I loved the main character. I think that, like, Bryce's was, like, the best part of this book for me. And then there was, like, a friendship in here that I liked, but I felt like we didn't really get as much and like, super developed. And then the romance in this, there's, like, a tiny bit of a sapphic romance, but we don't really get a lot. And so I'm hoping that in the next book that's, like, going to be a way bigger part of the book, and I am looking forward to that, and I do want to read that. But I actually do think I'm going to buy the book physically because the cover is one of my favorites ever. But I do think that I'm also going to, like, get the audiobook and listen to it. Or, you know, like, we'll see when we get there. I think it's coming out this summer, so I'm still excited for that. And so I wouldn't say that I don't recommend this book, but, like, do be, you know, like, be aware that it is really slow. Yeah, so that is finally a wrap on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that I don't do a lot of fantasy vlogs, but let me know if you would like to see more. I feel like I'm definitely learning my taste in fantasy a lot more, and I feel like I finally understand it, so I can, like, pick the books to read that I know are actually gonna work for me, which is awesome. So, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you made it this far, leave any kind of, like, fantasy emoji down below that, you know, like, makes you think of fantasy, whether it's, like, a wizard, dragon, a sword, or whatever. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'm gonna see you soon in another video. Bye!